What's good, everybody? It is your girl Nia, the video game her, representing for Planet EJOBN. So before I go ahead and get into this topic, I want you guys to go ahead and smack that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you are interested in content like this, and make sure you give this a thumbs up so people can see this in their recommended feed. What is good, everybody? It is your girl Nia, the video game her, representing for Planet EJOBN. Once again, we're still rolling with the discussion about E3 2018. So I've previously done videos about Microsoft and Sony E3, and now it's time to talk about Nintendo's E3. So let's talk about how they started off the show. So first of all, Nintendo started off the show with the new IP from Marvelous Games called Daemon X Machina. So those of you guys who are not familiar with Daemon X Machina, it's basically a Gundam game. It's a game about big mechs shooting and fighting things. It's funny because the people who are currently making this game over at Marvelous have also been responsible for making the Armored Core games, if you remember those games from back in the day on the PS2 and all of that. So it kind of gives me a mix of Armored Core, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Zone of the Enders. I guess that's kind of the vibe that Daemon X Machina gives to me at this current time. So they also announced that they're going to be making standalone DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is one of the premier RPGs currently on the Nintendo Switch, which came out in December of last year. Those of you guys who haven't had a chance to play the main game, you're in luck, because the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna DLC, or expansion rather, is a standalone expansion, so you can play this without having played the main standalone game. Another thing that they showed at Nintendo's E3 is the return of Super Mario Party. So if you like Mario Party back in the day, guess what? It's coming back. It's gonna have online play for the mini games. Unfortunately, the board game part of Super Mario Party is not going to be available for online, but you will be able to play the mini games if you're interested in that party experience, if you just like something casual to play here and there. One game that particularly excited me, especially from Nintendo's E3, is Fire Emblem Three Houses. I love strategy games, I love tactics games, and Fire Emblem is definitely one of those games at the top of the list for me. And it really does look like the Fire Emblem franchise is kind of returning more of that serious tone of the older games. In the more recent games, they've kind of become more waifu centric. I'm not really a fan of that. I like my Fire Emblem to be storied and serious, and it looks like Fire Emblem Three Houses is returning to those roots. Another thing that I like about Fire Emblem Three Houses is the way that they're doing the grid system now. It actually looks like a big grand battle now when you're playing this, as opposed to the regular format from the olden days where it was just a couple of people in a grid, and you know, it kind of reminds me of a video game representation of what the board game Battleship would look like, and I think that looks really cool. They also talked about Overcooked 2. I personally love the first Overcooked. I have it on the PC, and I also have it on the Nintendo Switch. And then they also did a sizzle reel, which we'll talk about this especially later on in this video, where they showed that Paladins was going to be releasing for the Nintendo Switch on the same day as the Nintendo Direct. They also said that Fortnite was going to be coming out the same day as the Nintendo Direct. They also announced that Dragon Ball FighterZ is coming to the Nintendo Switch. They also showed some other third-party games like Wolfenstein 2, Ark Survival Evolved, and some other things that they really zipped by very, very quickly. And of course, from that point on forward, the rest of the Direct was all Smash Brothers. And don't get me wrong, I love Smash Brothers as much as the next gamer, but there is a such thing as too much Smash Brothers. They went way too deep into Smash Brothers. They even went as far as to talk about the different mechanics and echo characters and all this other stuff that honestly could have been saved for the Nintendo Treehouse, which is the place where they go in depth with gameplay and they talk to developers and things like that. So overall, this is what I'll say about Nintendo's E3. I feel like they had a similar situation with Sony. The only difference between them and Sony though is that they showed a little bit more stuff, but I feel like the stuff that they showed was a little bit shallow compared to what we know that Nintendo is currently working on. We know that Nintendo is working on Metroid Prime 4. We know that Nintendo has currently got Bayonetta 3 in the works. We know that Nintendo is working on Pikmin 4. So where are all of the game surprises? I don't feel like much that they showed outside of Daemon X Machina was a surprise to people, and that's a new IP, so it's kind of really hard to be super excited about something that you don't really know anything about because it was just a snippet of a trailer. Like, they didn't really go in depth about some of the new-ish things that they showed at E3, and that's really disappointing, and that definitely put a damper on the show. And again, too much damn Smash Brothers. And the sad thing about all of this Smash Brothers news is that we already know that Nintendo is gonna have another direct some months down the line about Smash Brothers. Did we really need that much Smash Brothers at E3? Couldn't spend time on any other games that you guys might be working on in the pipeline? Just wasn't a good look for Nintendo, man. But overall, what they showed was okay. It was a decent show, but it definitely wasn't as good as it should have been, considered that Nintendo's 2018 has been a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. And I'm a big Nintendo fan, so that goes without saying. Anyways, you guys, let me know how you feel about Nintendo's E3 in the comments section below. Talk to you later, folks. Peace. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell if you would like to be notified about more videos like this. Make sure you hit that thumbs up so it can show up in everybody's recommended feeds and get more people on the channel. All of Planet EJOBN's social links are in the description below, so make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. We have a super active and thriving Facebook group right now where there's so many other nerds like you who are talking about TV, movies, anime, comics, you name it, every single day.